Hello everyone, welcome back. Now let's try to understand what we are going to learn as part of part 2 session in day 5. We are going to learn something called SAS scanning. As part of that, we are going to pick up a tool called Aqua Trivy Scanner, and we are going to configure that scanner in our Jenkins EC2 instance, and then we are going to perform security scanning of our Java web application that we have already configured in GitHub repository, and then we are going to completely automate this process by integrating with our Jenkins Freestyle job. So what do you mean by SAS scanning? SAS scanning is nothing but it's a white box security testing, a way of analyzing your source code without even executing it. So using SAS scanner, you would be able to identify any vulnerabilities in your source code. So basically you'd be able to identify any security issues or any compliance issue early in the software development lifecycle. For example, let's say that you are a developer, you are developing application where you have to read customer sensitive information like SSN number or passport number or anything like that. If you are not encrypting those information, so it's a huge violation, right? So how do you think you can actually scan your source code in order to identify those issues? So this is where SAS scanner comes into the use. And SAS scanner can be very well integrated with our CI/CD process so that you can completely automate your scanning. So as part of this lecture, we are going to pick up a tool called Aqua Trivy. So using this Aqua Trivy, we are going to scan our Java web application that we have already configured. So now let's try to understand what is Aqua Trivy. So Aqua Trivy is open source vulnerability scanner. Using this tool, you can scan your application source code, you can scan your Docker image, or let's say you're also creating a Docker image. Your Docker image also can be scanned using Aqua Trivy. Or let's say that you're working on Terraform files or Kubernetes manifest file. Even those infrastructure as a code files also can be scanned using Aqua Trivy. And Aqua Trivy can be very well integrated with any of the popular CI/CD tools. So you can completely automate scanning of your application. And then using Aqua Trivy, you can also create reports as well, based on the results found during the scanning. So if you look at this diagram, this clearly talks about how Aqua Trivy can be integrated with Jenkins. So a developer commits the code, and then Jenkins is going to check out the code, build the code, and then perform all the code quality check. And then Jenkins can very well integrate with Aqua Trivy in order to scan your application source code for identifying any vulnerability issues or any compliance issue and so on. All right, so that is exactly what we are going to learn as part of this lecture. So let's get started, guys. So if you look at the prerequisites, yes, we need to configure Aqua Trivy Scanner on our Jenkins EC2 instance. So your Jenkins have to be up and running. So this is my Jenkins EC2 instance, which is already up and running in AWS Cloud. So we are going to install Aqua Trivy Scanner on this EC2 instance. So you can install Trivy Scanner using so many different ways, but I'm going to use apt package manager in order to set up Trivy Scanner on Ubuntu EC2 instance. And then once you configure Trivy, you can verify the installation like that. And then using Trivy, you can scan your Docker image, or you can also scan your application source code. You can also scan any public Git-based repository as well. And then if you wanted to create a report, you can also create the report as well. So now let me connect to Jenkins, and we are going to configure Trivy Scanner on our Jenkins EC2 instance. And I'm connected to my Jenkins EC2 instance using iTerm. So now let's start the installation. So before we get started, let's say Trivy here. So you can see here Trivy is not installed, isn't it? So now let's start the installation. So like I said, Trivy can be installed using so many different ways. If I can take you to the website. So if you look at the installation method, like I said, there are so many ways you can configure Trivy. Since we are going to configure on Ubuntu EC2 instance, I'm going to follow this particular instruction. I'm just going to say -y here so that it is not going to ask me, do you want to continue? So let's go ahead and then enter. Fantastic. So Trivy should be installed right now. So let's verify that. Let's go ahead and then say Trivy version. Fantastic. So there you go, guys. So that's how you would install Trivy. It's pretty straightforward. So once you install the Trivy, so we should be able to scan any Docker image, right? Or you can also scan your GitHub repository as well, or you can also scan your local file system as well. So let's do one thing. Let me just go ahead and then scan a public Docker image. Okay, so I'm going to say Trivy image, and then I'm going to say Nginx. So there you go. Wow, so that's the scan report for scanning Nginx Docker image. So you can literally see all these vulnerabilities, isn't it? High, medium, low, and so on, right? So if you wanted to know about a particular vulnerability, you can actually click on this link. So let me copy this link, go to the browser. Wow, there you go. You all see here? So this clearly talks about, okay, so what is the issue with the Docker image, right? And then this will also give you a potential mitigation, recommendation, and so on, right? And you can see in the bug report, this says NVD. So that is actually nothing but National Vulnerability Database. It's a US government database which is going to have all the potential vulnerabilities or anything like that on your Docker image or on your dependencies. So basically, Aqua Scanner is able to scan your source code against the database, right? So now let's get back to Jenkins. Now let's see how we can actually automate the scanning. Instead of doing through a command line, now let's try to see how we can actually automate the scanning. So let's go back to the same job that we have used in the previous lecture. So go back to configure and go to build steps. So now we wanted to include in our freestyle job to perform scanning, isn't it? So all you have to do is click on add build step, click on execute shell. So we wanted to scan our source code, isn't it? I know we are not using a Docker image, but we will be learning Docker image. I know we are not using a Docker image, but we will be learning about Docker in our upcoming lectures. But I just wanted to perform security scanning of our Java web application. So all you have to do is just say Trivy and then FS. FS stands for file system. And then you'll have to provide the path of your source code. You can either say dot, which is nothing but the current directory, or you can also say my web app, not a problem. So that's it, right? So now let's see if this is able to perform scanning. So click on save, click on build now. So as you can see here, scanning started, right? And you can also see that it's trying to, update the database, downloading the database. Wow, there you go, guys. So as you can see here, this was able to scan our source code, and then this was able to identify 4 issues in our source code. And then you can also see the report over here as well. There you go. So that's a scan report. And you can also clearly see that, we have 1 medium issue, 1 high issue, and then 2 critical defects or vulnerabilities, right? But if you actually see here, our build got success, isn't it? But let's say that there is a requirement whenever there are, high issues or critical issues, you should fail the build. So how would you actually do that? It's pretty straightforward. Go back to the job, go back to configure. So you just have to add the exit code. So if you see here, I wanted to fail the build whenever I'm finding any high or critical issues. I just wanted to fail the build, right? So this is how you can actually do that. Okay, so let's find out. Click on save. Go ahead and click on build now. Wow. So you all see here, now the build got failed. And you can clearly see here the build got failed, isn't it? Why? Because, this has like 3 high or critical vulnerability issues, right? And then if you wanted to fix any of these, you can just click on here and then you can learn about it and then you can take, corrective actions. So yeah, so this is how, guys, this is how you can automate vulnerability scanning using a tool called Aqua Trivy. by integrating with Jenkins. I hope this was really useful. Looking forward to see you all in the next upcoming lecture. Thank you so much.